What happens when two powerhouse women in the music world sit down for what should be a friendly, light-hearted chat, but long-buried resentment and industry secrets start bubbling up to the surface? What you're about to hear is one of the most jaw-dropping moments in daytime television history. A simple interview turned into a confrontation so raw and so tense that it ended with a guest storming off set. Before we dive into this unforgettable moment, make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts in the comments, because this story is layered with emotion, pride, and truth bombs that will make you question everything you thought you knew about these two iconic stars. The atmosphere inside the Kelly Clarkson Show studio that day was charged with energy. Gwen Stefani walked onto the set with her usual confidence, her platinum blonde hair gleaming under the bright studio lights. She wore a stunning black and white outfit that blended edge with elegance, her presence commanding instant attention. The audience erupted into cheers as she made her way to her seat opposite Kelly Clarkson, who greeted her guest with her trademark smile. The vibe seemed positive, almost celebratory, a reunion between two accomplished women who had both shaped pop music in their own ways. Kelly leaned forward, her enthusiasm radiating through every word. "Gwen, it's honestly such an honor to have you here. I've been a fan since the No Doubt days, and watching how you've evolved as an artist has been truly inspiring." Gwen smiled politely, nodding slightly. "Thank you, Kelly. That really means a lot coming from you." Her voice was calm, pleasant, but there was a certain coolness behind her words that only the keenest observer might have picked up on. Still, the audience remained swept up in the excitement. Kelly kept the tone upbeat, diving into the interview with her signature warmth. "You've reinvented yourself so many times," she said, her eyes gleaming with admiration. "From the skate-punk scene to pop icon status to running your own fashion empire. What drives that constant reinvention?" Gwen's fingers tapped lightly on the armrest as she replied, "Evolution is survival in this business. You either adapt or you fade away. I've always believed in pushing limits, even if people don't always get it right away." For a while, the conversation flowed easily. They talked about Gwen's current projects, her fashion line, and her time as a mentor on various singing shows. But beneath the smiles and laughter, something darker was simmering. There was a subtle tension, an unspoken undercurrent that was growing stronger with each passing question. Kelly's tone shifted slightly as she asked, "You've worked with so many talented people over the years, Gwen, but some of those partnerships seem to have ended. Well, on complicated terms. How do you handle that kind of thing?" The question seemed harmless on the surface, but Gwen's posture straightened ever so slightly. "Relationships in this industry are complex," she said coolly. "Creative energy can be intense. Sometimes partnerships just run their course. That's normal." Kelly pressed on, her voice firm but still friendly. "Sure, but when it happens multiple times, when there's a pattern, don't you ever stop to look inward? I mean, between the departures from No Doubt and a few collaborations that didn't end so well, do you ever wonder if there's something deeper there?" The air in the room shifted. The once lively audience grew quiet, sensing that the tone of the conversation had changed. Gwen's polite smile didn't waver, but her eyes had hardened. "That's a pretty bold thing to say, Kelly," she replied, her tone steady but edged with steel. "Especially coming from someone who's faced her own share of scrutiny in this industry." Kelly blinked, caught slightly off guard but unwilling to back down. "I'm not trying to be harsh, Gwen. I just think it's important to talk honestly. There's this narrative that you're difficult to work with, that you can be controlling or demanding. I'm curious about your thoughts on that." "Demanding?" Gwen repeated, her voice rising slightly. "Is that what we're calling it now when a woman knows what she wants and fights for it? Funny how when men do the same thing, they're labeled visionaries or perfectionists. But when it's a woman, suddenly she's difficult." The tension was now thick enough to cut with a knife. Kelly shifted in her chair, perhaps realizing she'd touched a nerve. "That's fair," she said. "Gender double standards are real. But I'm asking about specific stories, things that people have said about working with you." Gwen let out a sharp laugh. "Are we really going to sit here and dissect every professional decision I've made in 30 years? If that's what this interview is about, maybe you should have been upfront about it from the start." The studio went dead silent. This was no longer the casual celebrity chat the audience had expected. Kelly's face had lost its warmth, her demeanor now more serious. "My only goal is to have an honest conversation," she said carefully. "I think our viewers appreciate authenticity, not just rehearsed answers." "Authenticity?" Gwen repeated, her voice a low, dangerous whisper. "You want authenticity, Kelly? Fine. Let's talk about authenticity." Her eyes locked onto Kelly's with fierce intensity. "You built your brand on being relatable, on being the friendly, down-to-earth girl next door. But I know what goes on behind the scenes. I know how you've undermined other women in this business while pretending to champion them." The audience collectively gasped. Kelly's face paled. "That's not true," she said quickly. "I've always supported other female artists." Gwen leaned forward, her voice sharp with anger. "Really, because I've heard stories, real stories about what you've said in private meetings. Should we share those with your viewers?" The production crew behind the cameras froze, unsure whether to cut to commercial. The audience sat completely still. Kelly tried to steady herself. "If someone's told you I said something unkind, Gwen, maybe we should clear that up privately." "Privately?" Gwen stood up slightly in her chair, her voice rising. "Where was your concern for privacy when you were spreading rumors about me during my divorce? When you whispered to executives that I was unstable?" Kelly's jaw dropped. I would never do that." "Oh, but you did," Gwen shot back. "And I have proof. Phone calls, emails, even recordings, where you laughed about my marriage falling apart and called me a woman clinging to fame through her relationships." Kelly looked stricken. "If I said anything that hurt you, I'm sorry." "But I never meant it like that," Gwen laughed bitterly. "How do you mean calling someone desperate out of context, Kelly? Or telling record labels I was past my prime?" The tension reached a breaking point. Kelly's voice trembled. "Gwen, you're painting me as some sort of villain. I swear I never tried to sabotage you." "You didn't have to try hard," Gwen snapped. "You just used your influence to plant doubts, to make people second-guess me. And you did it all while smiling for the cameras." Kelly looked toward her producers helplessly, but no one dared move. Gwen pointed a finger directly at her. "You built your reputation on kindness and empathy, but it's all a facade. You're not lifting people up. You're making yourself look good while tearing others down." Kelly's eyes filled with tears. "That's not true. My entire show is about uplifting people." "Your show," Gwen interrupted coldly, "is about you. You bring people here to make yourself shine a little brighter. It's all about control, about keeping yourself in the spotlight." The audience was frozen in disbelief. "Gwen, please," Kelly whispered. "Let's not do this here." "Oh, I think this is exactly where we need to do it," Gwen said, pulling out her phone. "You want authenticity? Let's show everyone who you really are." Kelly jumped to her feet. "You can't play that?" "There are laws, Gwen," Gwen smirked. "Funny how you suddenly care about privacy now." The standoff felt like it could explode at any moment. Finally, Kelly's tone hardened. "Maybe I did say things I shouldn't have," she admitted. "But you're proving my point right now. Look at how you're acting. You're unstable." The words hung in the air like a spark before an explosion. Gwen's face turned to stone. "There it is. The real Kelly Clarkson. The one who smiles on camera and destroys people behind closed doors." "I didn't destroy you," Kelly said, her voice breaking. "You did that to yourself." "Really?" Gwen's voice was cold as ice. "You mean like how I dared to survive a divorce? Or continue working while my life was falling apart? When it's you, it's bravery. When it's me, it's chaos." Kelly's face flushed crimson. "That's not the same thing." "Of course not," Gwen shot back. "Because when you fall apart, it's inspirational. When I do, it's a warning story." The words sliced through the air like knives. Kelly looked broken now, her voice trembling as she said, "I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did," Gwen replied softly, her rage cooling into something sadder, heavier. "You used your power to make sure I'd struggle to get work. You can't erase that with an apology." Kelly sat frozen, speechless. Gwen gathered her things, her movements slow and deliberate. "This interview is over," she said quietly. She turned to look at Kelly one last time. You know what's really sad? I used to look up to you. I thought you were different from the rest, but you're not. You're just better at hiding who you really are." With that, she walked off stage. The sharp echo of her heels filled the studio as the audience sat stunned, unable to process what they had just seen. Kelly sank back into her chair, her face buried in her hands. Her perfect public image shattered before millions of viewers in real time. And that, right there, became one of the most shocking, unforgettable moments in daytime TV history. A moment that started as a friendly interview and ended as a public reckoning between two of music's biggest stars. So what do you think? Was Gwen justified in confronting Kelly so brutally, or did she cross the line? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories the entertainment world doesn't want you to hear.